Lawyers for Texas went back to court Wednesday, arguing to restore the state's controversial immigration enforcement law known as Senate Bill 4. That law is on hold as legal challenges play out in court. A three-judge panel of the Federal Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals heard some of the most significant arguments yet in this case. As Ryan Chandler shows us, one comment from the state's attorney got a lot of attention.
Protest in New Orleans.
We hope that the judges would listen to legal precedent.
As Texas takes the fight over the border back to federal court. While defending Texas's power to arrest and deport illegal immigrants, the state's attorney acknowledged that Texas may have pushed the legal limits.
They have tried to develop a statute that goes up to the line of Supreme Court precedent, but allows Texas to protect the border. Now, to be fair, maybe Texas went too far, and that's the question this court's going to have to decide.
The three-judge appeals panel weighing the constitutionality of the law after blocking it from taking effect last month.
It makes all of our communities less safe.
Back in Austin, immigrant advocates are already wary.
The conversations are really about fear, about whether they're going to be separated from their family, about whether if they're currently in an immigration process and they have a work permit and they have a driver's license and they have a job, if they're going to be affected by this law, which they may be.
Texas sought to downplay those concerns in court, clarifying the statewide law would almost exclusively be enforced on the border.
There wouldn't be probable cause in almost all cases unless a Texas officer sees somebody crossing the border.
The case is nearly certain to end up in front of the Supreme Court. Ryan Chandler, State of Texas.
Attorney General Paxton said the oral argument from Texas shows the state did not go too far with SB 4. He posted a comment on the social media platform X saying, quote, "In context, it was clear that the matter of whether Texas went too far in light of the Arizona versus United States SCOTUS decision was the question before the court. As counsel explained, Texas has gone as far as Arizona versus United States allows." Senator John Cornyn elaborated on that point Thursday at a news conference in Austin. He believes the Supreme Court will ultimately decide whether the Texas law will stand.
Well, it's a fine line, and because this Arizona case decided years ago said that basically the state can't enforce federal immigration law, but what the state can do here is enforce state law that doesn't implicate the federal government's authority on the border security and immigration. It's a fine legal line, but I think what Governor Abbott and the legislature are trying to do is find a way to protect our state and our citizens when the Biden administration simply refuses to do so.
Texas has already been arresting migrants under state trespassing laws. State law enforcement also started charging migrants accused of cutting through razor wire placed along the Rio Grande. For example, on Tuesday, 2 men from Brazil and another from Ecuador faced charges of criminal mischief in El Paso. National Guard troops said they saw the men cut through a wire fence to get to the border wall. The El Paso District Attorney's Office estimated they caused $750 worth of damage. The men remained in custody after the hearing, telling the court they did not have enough money to post a $1,000 bond. Also, more than 200 asylum seekers are jailed on state charges in El Paso County after a confrontation at the border. Last month, a large group of migrants pushed their way through border barriers. Prosecutors say they assaulted National Guard members who tried to stop them. 9 migrants faced felony charges, but most of the jailed migrants faced the misdemeanor charge of participating in a riot. They also face federal charges of improper entry into the United States, which could get them deported. El Paso District Attorney Bill Hicks said it's important to also prosecute them on state charges.
If they're willing to assault government officials, what stops them from assaulting our friends, our neighbors, our mothers and fathers in those neighborhoods? We have to send the message that you cannot do that we have to be a community of law and order.
The arrests placed the El Paso County Jail near capacity. Hicks said taking on these cases would not hinder prosecution of other crimes in the county. The man blamed for a deadly crash with a school bus should not have been behind the wheel. Our investigation digs into how the state tracks drivers with previous offenses and how this driver slipped through the cracks. Plus, a mistake takes Medicare benefits away from some Texas retirees, and it can take months to fix the problem. We look closer at one case of a man trying to get those benefits back.